Christina Loughton.
Mayor and councillors, thank you for the opportunity to speak to my submission. I have got copies here which I checked with you can have.
Thank you.
I wish to speak to 3 points in my written submission. 1, asset sales. 2, roading. 3, public transport. Asset sales. I believe that the proposed sale of assets to balance the budget is the wrong approach. The council needs to further trim the expenditure in the 10-year plan to delay and spread over a longer period the programme of capital works. From my involvement in community groups over many decades, I've learned that you must keep your projects within budget constraints, no matter how desirable they may be. The asset portfolio of the council, giving community ownership of our port and airport, our social housing, power and water networks, is a vital component of the social fabric of our city. We all have responsibility for the well-being of all our citizens now and for the future. Some of our dreams must of necessity be curtailed to ensure that we retain and strengthen the unique nature of this city. Roading. There is far too much heavy freight movement on our city roads. The port company needs to further develop the inland port concept and to divert a more substantial part of port traffic to rail. Perhaps there should be a tunnel surcharge on every container delivered to or from the port by road. For roading maintenance, we need to develop better ways than increasing rates and to shift the costs onto the actual users. I believe that there could be an inner-city road user surcharge, increased parking charges, a regional petrol tax as possible alternatives to increasing rates and selling assets for roading. Public transport. Public transport within the city has been a concern of mine for some considerable time, and I believe that we need a much more integrated approach. In planning infrastructure, it would be better if the council were responsible for all aspects of our city's public transport rather than the divided control that is there at the moment. That way, route planning and the provision of essential infrastructure could be better coordinated and planned. The revival of the inner city shuttle service is, I believe, essential. Good route planning and major parking facilities on the fringe of the central city would contribute to a more vehicle-friendly pedestrian and cycle-friendly inner city. Possible sites for this could be the old sale yard site in Deans Ave, Morehouse Avenue by the Clumber Street overbridge, and the former Pack Street Orion depot. The former electric shuttles and the current hospital shuttle demonstrate the possibilities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Phil?
Thank you, Christina. Just around the public transport, in effect you're referring to, and you use the hospital shuttle as an example. I guess you're referring to park and ride. So I guess if you've got a couple of other places where it might work. How though, have you got any ideas on how, in fact, we'd overcome the problem of people there'd still be potentially some congestion around the park and ride type areas? Have you got any suggestions to how we might manage that part?
If the parking areas are outside the inner city itself and the shuttle service links them with the inner city, then I believe we would relieve considerably the current traffic congestion we have within the inner city and the need to build as many inner city parking buildings and other facilities of that kind.
So you're really suggesting areas, say, more on the perimeter of the
Yes.
city? Okay, thanks, Christina.
Cutting people's journeys short of the central city.
That's great. Thank you very much for your time. It's much appreciated, and it's the time that we have allocated for submissions this morning.